My meals this week is KFC bowls. I didn't record myself making it, but I meal prepped and I'll show you what the bowl looks like. But this is all you're going to need, and they're really not too bad on calories. Well, they're a little higher because I used this chicken and a whole patty is 230 calories. But it's because I don't really like these too much and I kind of want to get rid of them and use them up. I didn't like him as cheeseburgers, but they're perfect for the KFC bowl. But you could use grilled chicken and it would be way less calories, or like nuggets, maybe for like 180 to 200 calories worth of nuggets. That'd be really good. That's what I normally do. I use nuggets or grilled chicken. But mine turned out to be 580 calories for my bowl. So I just made 2 of these packets. I think the ones I used were both this kind, but you can mix and match, doesn't matter. So I used 2 of these, just according to the instructions. You just add water for these. So each pouch made 2 servings. So 4 servings of mashed potatoes. And these are 113 grams in Canada. It might be bigger ones in the US, I'm not sure. So basically 2 packs of these. And I made my gravy and used some cheese, a can of corn, and a patty. So basically each bowl had 1/4 of these mashed potatoes, about a 1/4 cup of, well, first of all, I put the mashed potatoes at the bottom, and then I put my corn. I used a 1/4 of the can per bowl. And then I used one of these. I cooked these in the oven and chopped them up. And I used half a serving of cheese per bowl. And topped it off with a 1/4 of the gravy, which is about like a 1/4 cup of gravy. And I'll show you in a second what that looks like. And it meal preps really well. So that's what it looks like in the end. Mashed potatoes on the bottom, topped with some corn and shredded cheese. My cut up chicken patty and some gravy. It's super delicious and insanely quick. This is one of my go-to no-cook meals when I really don't want to cook anything. I'm tired. This takes 2 seconds to make, like 5 minutes, not even. Just the cooking time of the chicken and the potatoes, and it's really delicious. All right, so today for dinner I'm gonna be making French Canadian shepherd's pie, but I don't have quite enough potatoes, and I have this. It was like it had the 50% off sticker cauliflower. I kind of need to use it up, so I'm just gonna make some cauliflower / mashed potatoes to go on top. So it's gonna be less calories, but I'm gonna be adding some cheese on top. I know it sounds a little complicated because you guys, what do you want, buddy? I'm sorry, I'm busy. Here's Buddy right there, meowing. And Cutie. That's my box of Christmas decorations. Anyway, so I'm gonna be cooking this on high for, let's say, 6 minutes in my Instant Pot. But you could just boil it, of course. And I'm gonna be using 1 pack of these for the rest of, and I'll show you how I make that. So I'm gonna put that in my Instant Pot and cook it for 6 minutes. And over here, I'm already starting to cook my meat to make my 2 recipes today. I'm going to be making a cheesy cheeseburger soup and my shepherd's pie. And I'll be back once it's a little bit more cooked. Oh yeah, first the Instant Pot. Let's cook this. And all I have in here is a cup of water, and I put some of my buttery garlic and herb seasoning that I love. Let me see. I'm just gonna do 7 minutes, or 6 minutes rather. Should be plenty. All right, let this cook, and then I'm gonna get started on my meat. So since both recipes I'm gonna be using is gonna need like a small onion, I'm just gonna chop up a large one here. Just add it to my ground beef. Make sure I hit record this time, because last time I didn't for some of my recipes. Oh my gosh. These knives are insanely better than what I used to have. I'm just chopping this up quick. I'm not good at chopping, but still manage to get it done. I never cut myself either. Knock on wood. I'm gonna add this in here. I'm gonna cook. And I'm gonna add a little bit of this onion. It's onion salt now. I have refilled this bottle, but it's not powder, it's salt. So I gotta remember to not add a lot of extra salt. I forgot to charge my pepper grinder. Getting low. I'm going to add some garlic powder too. And I'll put all the ingredients in the recipes in the description too. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of this. Basically 1 teaspoon per recipe, since I'm dividing my meat into 2. I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons. I'm going to eyeball it just because. Doesn't really matter. Just 2 teaspoons of that. And this beef is the 80%. I'm definitely going to be draining this. Don't want the extra fat. I'm just going to cook this so it's ready to go, and then I'll be back. My meat is still cooking. For my cheeseburger soup, I'm going to be using this shredded carrots. These shredded carrots. I got a bag that had the sticker, the 50% off sticker, and what I do, I just freeze like a cup worth. And I could just throw this in soup or like spaghetti sauce, chili, whatever I want. When it's frozen, it doesn't matter if it gets mushy once it's cooked. So it's perfect for soup. I do that with my spinach too. When I get spinach, I just fill a baggie with spinach, and then I can just put it in recipes, and it doesn't matter if it gets all mushy. My meat's almost done cooking. I'll drain it, but first I'm going to drain this can of corn. If you hear my cats in the background, they both have the zoomies and they're chasing each other. Alright, so I divided my meat. It made, oh my gosh, these cats are going insane. So this is about 12 ounces cooked of the drained ground beef, which is about a pound. And the can of corn, I wanted to make sure it gives me the amount I thought. And it's a cup and a third of corn. This is how we do shepherd's pie in Canada. We also sometimes do the American way, but cooking this a little bit. And my cauliflower is done, so I'll be making my mash soon. So this is just the bottom layer of our shepherd's pie. Just adding a little bit more seasoning. And I'll show you how I make the cauliflower mash after. This is pretty much done. It's just like this, and we top it with mashed potatoes. And since I'm using cauliflower mash, I think I'm gonna take this opportunity to splurge a little and put some cheese on top. So that's done and ready to go. I just need to make my mashed potatoes now. Alright, so I drained my cauliflower. It's not that much, but it'll still be enough. I'm just gonna mash this real quick. Not to make too much noise. It doesn't matter if it's a little lumpy. Just mashing it. Hang on. I'm gonna go hard and make noise. I'll be back. Alright, so I'm gonna be just adding my water here and boiling it on saute function in my Instant Pot. You can do all this on the stovetop. It's fine too. I'm gonna be adding 2 cups of water right here and bring it to boil in my Instant Pot. Alright, so while I wait for my water and cauliflower to come to a boil, I'm just gonna put, this is like, I would say 9 by 9 inch pan. You can just do a normal 8 by 8, but I love these pans. Just put your ground beef and corn and onion in here. I'm just gonna top it with my mashed potatoes. It's done. Now I'll get started on my soup. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, starting to boil now. I'm gonna add a little bit of my parsley. I'd say probably a teaspoon. Maybe a little more. And I'm gonna add a tablespoon of margarine. Oops. So give it a little extra flavor. The mashed potatoes that I'm gonna be adding already have butter, but the cauliflower didn't. I'm gonna add my 1 pouch in here. I'm just gonna mix it real quick and let it sit for a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna turn this off. Ah! Lava! Gonna let it sit for a minute and mash it all up. I'll be back. So my mashed potatoes, I feel were, because I've actually never done it with cauliflower mixed with the instant potatoes. I've done it with cauliflower mixed with regular potatoes. Ugh, it's sticking a little. I felt it was a little watery, so I just let it stay on saute for a little bit until it got a little thicker. And I'm gonna add this on top of here. All right, here it's all spread on top of my pan. I don't know if I mentioned, but if you want to make just normal mashed potatoes, you're gonna need about 25 ounces of potatoes is my normal recipe. So a little over 2 pounds of potatoes, and you just make your mashed potatoes how you like them. And once this is gonna bake at 375 for about 20-25 minutes, and then I'll top it with cheese. Now I'm gonna clean my Instant Pot because I need it for another recipe, and I'm gonna get started on my cheeseburger soup. Okay, here's my shepherd's pie. I put my 1.5 ounces of cheese, so maybe like 1/3 cup or something like that, of cheese on top, and broiled it for like a minute, and I sadly squished the corner. But this makes 4 servings. So the pan makes 4 servings of about 470 calories. And it's Tastes much better than it looks like. It's really good. All right, for my cheeseburger soup, I'm sure you've all seen that going around the internet, but this is my lightened up version and it's really, really good. Gonna need, now you could use half and half or normal milk, but I love using this. It makes the soup really creamy, so I'm gonna use that. And some skim milk. You could use almond milk. I have my beef, which is 8 ounces cooked, so maybe 3/4 of a pound of raw beef with some onion, and some shredded carrots. About 5 slices of cheese, which is 3¼ ounce of shredded cheese. And then I'm gonna finish off my jar of Cheese Whiz. Needs to be used up. It's good till November. And so I didn't have quite enough, so I used a cheese slice. You're gonna need about 3½ ounces of processed cheese, either Velveeta cheese slices, Cheese Whiz, and a pound of potatoes. I'm gonna chop that up, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, my carrots are softening a little bit, so I'm gonna add my garlic. And I didn't have any chicken or beef broth, so I'm using 3½ cups of water back there, and I put, let me see, look at the box. I can't find it. I put 1½ of the cubes, but the beef ones, I don't even know where I put them. I'm gonna use that as my broth. I'm just gonna cook the garlic for like barely a minute, just to get it smelling good. And then I'm gonna be adding some flour and my broth. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I got my cooked garlic and carrots. I'm gonna sprinkle 1/4 cup of flour in here. I'll just whisk that in. Get rid of the flour taste, and then I'm gonna slowly pour in my 3½ cups of broth. And bring that to a boil, and it's going to make like a thick beef broth. Be back in maybe 30 seconds. Alright, need to slowly add that in while whisking. It's kind of harder to do than it looks. I think the bottom of my pan is like rounded up from heat, and this pan really wants to spin. Now I'm going to add the potatoes and the beef. Let it cook for a little bit. I'm not really going to add my seasonings just yet. I'll wait for this to come to a boil. Breaking up any clumps. I realize I'm a very aggressive cook. When I look back at my videos, I'm going to try to calm down a little. I also walk that way. I kind of walk fast. So I notice I stir my things around. That's probably why I'm kind of messy. Alright, let this come to a boil and I'll be back. Alright, it's boiling now. I'm supposed to add some Italian seasoning, but I don't have any, so I'm going to use a teaspoon of this garlic plus because it doesn't have salt in it. This is half a teaspoon. So I'm going to do 2 of this. And my cats are playing in this Christmas decoration box back there. And just some pepper. And I'll check for salt later. I'm going to be adding my potatoes here. I'm cooking that for maybe 10 minutes. Oops. Get back in here. So I'm gonna bring my potatoes to boil and cook this for about 10 minutes until the potatoes are tender. Then we'll add the beef and the cheese and the milk. Yeah. My phone messed up. Hopefully I didn't lose the footage. So I got my potatoes are done. It's been about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna add my ground beef, already cooked. I'm gonna add 2/3 of a cup of my evaporated milk. And then 2/3 of a cup of my skim milk. But you can do any combo. I just mention it because that's what I calculate the calories for. Whatever I'm using. And I kind of tend to switch up my recipes depending on what I have, you know. If I didn't have this, then I would use something else. It all works out in the end. Mostly baking is where you can't substitute as much. But for like this basic cooking, you can really switch out ingredients and they'll still come out good. If you can see, it's looking nice and creamy. Now I'm gonna be adding, let me see, I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper. And I'm gonna add the usual parsley because I like about a teaspoon of that. I like the little green flecks. Same reason I usually add spinach to everything, but by some miracle this week, I have no spinach recipes. So normally I would use shredded cheese, but I'm running low, so I'm just gonna use 5 cheese slices. But I'll put the ounces. I think it's about 3 1/4 ounce of shredded cheese, which is like 3 servings. So maybe 3/4 of a cup, something like that. I'm gonna add my cheese whiz and my slice of cheese. Just kind of let this melt. And the soup's gonna be pretty much ready to go. And keep stirring it to make sure it mixes in really good. It'll take a minute for the cheese. All right, I'll be back once the cheese is melted, and I'll plate it up. All right, so I feel like the soup, like that's the kind of soup I like, decently thick. So I just mixed in a tablespoon of cornstarch with a tiny bit of skim milk. And I'm also gonna add, I have some of this burger seasoning, but you don't need to add that if you don't have it. I'm just gonna do maybe just half a teaspoon. You could just do maybe some seasoning salt or some more onion powder, some paprika maybe or something. Or just leave it as is. I'm just missing a tiny bit of a little something. So I'm gonna bring this to boil. Then it'll be good to go. And you will not miss the tons of cheese that's in the regular recipe. You can really taste the cheese in here. I find most recipes go kind of overkill on the cheese, but over here cheese is super expensive. It's like $7 for a bag of shredded cheese. Plus that's where most of the calories are hidden in recipes. So by cutting the cheese, I save money and I make them lower calories. Alright, I'll be back with this plated up. Alright, so this makes exactly 8 cups of soup. I divided it into 5 servings of 1.5 cups, but you can do what you want, however you want. And so 1.5 cups of this is about 465 calories. You can see it's really rich and creamy and cheesy, and it's delicious. For my last recipe today, I'm making 3 recipes today. 1 second, I have to sneeze. All right, excuse me. I'm only making 3 recipes, and I had KFC bowls meal prep before this. So I'm showing 4 recipes in this video, but I'm meal prepping 3 today. Still wearing my same shirt. Last recipe, I'm going to be making some cream cheese Instant Pot pasta. I'll write down all the ingredients in the description because you can definitely make this on the stovetop too. But I'm going to be showing how I make it in the Instant Pot. Basically, kind of like Alfredo pasta, but with no Parmesan. I don't have any. All right, I'll be back in a second. All right, so in my Instant Pot, I have 1.5 cups of water, or you could do broth. I put just a little bit of salt. And I'm going to be adding my garlic straight in here because we're not going to be draining the pasta. We're going to keep that water. And it's just going to basically infuse the pasta with some flavor. And I'm going to cook this in my Instant Pot. Today I'm only making 4 portions, and they're going to be side dish portions because I'm going to be eating that with some peas and chicken on the side. I'll show you how. But you can easily like double the recipe and add your cooked chicken straight in here. So many ways to do this. But I'm just going to be using this as a quick little side dish. So I have my 1.5 cups of water with some salt, my garlic, and 6 ounces of pasta. And I'm going to cook this on high for 4 minutes. This on high for 4 minutes. Oop, get back here. I'm just super easy. There you go. I'll be back once this is done. Actually, no, I'll be back right now. I have these little chicken skewers. They come, in the big packs with like 8 of them or something like that. I'm just gonna cook 1 each for me and my daughter for tonight, and then we'll have leftovers of the pasta. I'm not sure what I'm gonna be serving it with, but for tonight, got some chicken little skewers. I'm gonna bake that and boil my peas while the pasta cooks. So for the sauce, what I'm gonna be adding once the pasta is done is gonna be 75 grams of light cream cheese, which is 5 tablespoons. You could do sour cream or like ranch dip made with sour cream would be really good, but I'm just going to use some plain Greek yogurt. These are about 1/3 cup. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of this. You can use 1/2 or just more milk if you want, and 1/4 cup of skim milk. I'm going to be using some ranch seasoning also, and some cheese. It's basically like a mac and cheese, but white. All right, I'll be back. All right, my pasta is done, and it's slightly more al dente than I like because it's the penne, I think. And usually 4 minutes is good. I mean, it's still fine. It's al dente. But I would do 5 minutes, I think, if you're using penne. But 4 minutes if using like macaroni or some other smaller noodles. Now I'm gonna be adding my other ingredients. I'm gonna move this over here so you can see. All right, let's go. Yep, let's go. All right, so I'm gonna move this here. It's a little bit of water. We want that. That's gonna help make the sauce a little thick. So to this, I'm gonna be adding my cream cheese and my container of Greek yogurt. It's just to save calories, plus I have it. And I don't have any sour cream at the moment. It's gonna make it creamy. Just use what you like. I'm gonna start with just my 1/4 cup of my, this is the same calories as 1/2 basically. And I'm gonna use I'm gonna eyeball this because all my teaspoons are dirty at this point. I'm gonna use about a teaspoon of this ranch. Let's see, that's about a teaspoon. Ranch powder. Are you shocked? Parsley. About a teaspoon of that. Use some pepper. Oops. Oh, that's salt. Where's my pepper? All the way over here. I did charge it a little bit. Much better. Pepper. Use just a little bit of this garlic powder. I'm gonna mix all that up over there, and then I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. All right, so it is a little bit liquidy and it's a little bit tart. I think next time what I would do is use half the yogurt, because normally I use sour cream. Oh. So I'm gonna just and I also didn't use a 1/4 cup of skim milk. So I'm gonna adjust all the ingredients in my description, because I've never, normally I make it with like chicken and bacon. It's my chicken bacon ranch pasta. So, and also since the pasta is not cooked as much as normally, it hasn't absorbed as much. So I'm gonna saute this for a minute or two and then put the lid on and just let it sit for 5 minutes and come back, and then I'll top it with some cheese. Alright, here's what my pasta looks like. It's really cheesy. I added 1 ounce of cheese on top, and I'm just letting it sit. So this is going to be divided in 4 side dish, basically. And I'm going to plate it up with my chicken and my peas, and I'll be back. Oh, and 1/4 of this is 260 calories, and it's a pretty big portion. All right, here's my dinner. So this made 4 servings of 2/3 of a cup of the cheesy pasta with my skewer, and so this is 260 calories, and this is supposed to be 140, but I don't know. It seems like kind of a small amount of chicken. In my peas, I add a little bit of margarine and salt and pepper. This whole plate is about 450 calories, but 260 for that. There you have it. Easy dinners this week.